Hi everyone, how you doing today? I have this project. I was going to say little project, but it's not a little project. It's like an advent calendar, and these are going to all be pockets. And I've got them already cut. I cut them on the Cricut maker, and there's a video for that. I'll put a link for it or a picture of the button with a link at the end of the video so you can see it. So I turned them inside out. I need to stitch down both sides and then turn it right side out, and it'll be a pocket. This will be the top of the pocket. Then this will be seamed, and then this bottom seam will be done when the pocket goes on to the background. So I thought today I'd show you how I try to get these things done a little faster because I have to do 31 of them. So I'm just going to take 10. I'm just going to take the first 10, and I'm going to do 10 at a time. So I thought I'll do 10 with you on how I do them with chain piecing, or now we're going to call it power piecing. So let me bring the machine a little closer, and let me get my 10 pockets, and they're just lined up right down here below me. So because these pockets are so small, and I'm going to be turning them right side out and kind of poking the seams to make them nice and flat, I'm going to take my stitch length, and I'm going to put it to, mine is normally 2.5, so I'm going to put it to 2.0. So let me just do that. Stitch length 2.0. I've got my 1/4 inch foot with the guide on. I don't know if you can hear. Let me put this under, then you can see it. See, there's a little guide right there. And I make sure I don't hit up against the guide. I stay just a tad to the left of the guide. And it's funny because in my classes, some of my students will say, well, I had my 1/4 inch foot with the guide on it, and they'll have like a 1/2 inch seam. Well, you've got to keep the fabric to the left of that guide. You can make it go under the guide like this, and you can sew along. So you just got to be careful of you still have to look at where the fabric is going in in order for the guide to work right. Because it's just a little, see how it's just a little thing. Okay, so let me get I pulled my thread back, so I'll get my hand out of the way in a second here. I just want to get my thread to the back. There we go. And I'm standing at a little bit of an angle. And I want to make sure, see when I folded it, can you see? I'm not folded even. And I'm not pressing it and folding it because I don't want to put a backwards crease in there. And backwards would be because I'm inside out. The crease would be indented when I turn it to the other side if I iron the crease in. Sorry, took my brain a second there. So I'm on my small machine, so I don't have the locking feature. But if you have the locking feature on your machine, which would be right above this, you just lock it in place. So I'm just going to do a couple of stitches. I noticed that my pedal wasn't plugged in yet. So I'm just going to do a stitch or two, and then just go back, just a couple stitches. And I don't need to be a speed demon. Okay, I had to stop for a second because in sewing, my power cord is for my camera is right here below me. And I hit it and unplugged my camera. So I'll fix it in the edit. But I've done one. I'm not going to lock here because this is going to get folded over. And here is where the opening is. If you have pivot feature on your machine, so pivot would be if you when you stop sewing, when you take your foot off the pedal, your needle would go down, your foot would come up. You can use that. I'm on my little machine, so I'm short on extra features, but that's okay. So I'm just lifting my foot a little bit, and I'm see how there's a little bit of space there. And I'm going to go right on to this one, and I am going to stitch back. So normally when I'm chain piecing, I don't do all that stitching back and forth, but in this case, I'm going to, because I'm not sure how much stress there's going to be. And as long as my pockets are all the same size, what my seam allowance might be is okay, because they're not pieced pieces to make a bigger block. They're just pockets. So I'm going down one side of every one of them. And you notice I'm doing the locking stitch at the beginning. Once I get onto this fabric, a couple stitches down, I'll do the locking feature. Locking, just a couple stitches. Because I'm going to be poking that corner with my tool to make sure the corner is nice. So I don't want it to come unstitched. And this is even faster when you have the pivot feature. So if your machine has the pivot feature, be sure to use it. And look, I just got one more, so we're going down one side. So now I've got a long chain all in a row. If you see my foot over here, now this is, and I leave this here usually as much as I can. Let me put some better light there. So I leave this here because it reminds me that I have my quarter-inch foot with the guide on, and that quarter-inch foot with the guide, let me put this under again, has a single hole. So this is wider across the opening here. So if I do a zigzag, it's fine. This foot has a single hole. So if I shut my machine off and I turn it back on 3 days from now and I go to do a zigzag, I'm going to break my needle and I could knock my machine out of time, which means I have to have it repaired, which, that's costly. So I leave that there to remind me when I'm done sewing, even if I'm going to sew, like it's morning now, even if I'm going to sew later on this afternoon, I'll take this foot off. I might not put this one on. I may leave it with no foot, but I'm going to make sure that when I shut my machine off, I don't leave this foot on. Okay, so now we're just going to go down the other side, and you can see I don't have to do anything special because they're all lined up. I can see my stitching over there, so now I know I have to do the other side. So now I don't really have to reach for the next one. So I'm just going to feed it. Remember, I want to have a little locking stitch there. And normally I wouldn't have to stop. I could just keep going. But I'm on a little bit of an angle, so here we go. I was a little slow on doing that locking. And there we have, I've stitched 10 pockets, so I just have to clip them. I'm trying to look around me for my whole little bag of scissors here. So I just have to clip in between. And in this case, I need to clip where these folded corners are to take away some of the bulk. So after I'm all done my stitching, I'll just sit down with my cup of tea, take a little break, and just so I wouldn't do this as I go. I would do you want to finish each step. So there's my little pocket, and you can see, what was it, a couple minutes, and I had 10 of them done. So I just thought, if you have something that is repetitive, and it isn't necessarily, making a block, a quilt block, but I have to make 31 of these, 31 days. Well, this is for Halloween, so 31 days in October. In case you were thinking I thought there was 31 days till Christmas would be 25. I'm sure that didn't make a whole lot of sense, but you know what I mean. So there we go. Corners are nice and square. And now I'm going to go finish up the rest of my 21 more pockets, but you can see how little time it takes when you do some of this, I'm going to call it power piecing. So hope you try it out sometime on a project you need. And again, I'm going to keep this video brief, just about this particular thing, and I'll put I'll put something in the heading of the video so that you can find it easily. And thanks again. See you next time.